Cosmic Memory. I have a message for you from the divine source herself. I'm going to break down the true, actual creation story, not through religious distortion, not through patriarchy, but through source knowledge herself. I'm going to explain to you the divine feminine forces that flowed from the Most High and how they contributed to the formation of creation. And I'm also going to back this by the book of Genesis scriptures. We've been taught that the source, the Most High, is a masculine energy. Imagine, if you will, they took the scriptures, ripped them apart, put them in a bag like the game Scrabble. You know how when you get the game Scrabble, you got all these little pieces in here, you shake it up and then you pick your letters. That's how they did the ancient texts. They took the Bible, all of the ancient scriptures, put them in a bag, shook them up, and then created what you know as the Bible today. So there's a lot of truth in there, and there are a lot of falsehoods. They removed the parts out of the Bible that would interfere with their plan to dominate the world. So who is the source? Who is the Most High? The Most High is pure, self-existent consciousness, eternal, without beginning or end. Before anything was, the source existed as infinite intelligence. From within this supreme being, the source, creation began. Not by external construction, but by internal emanation. Key word, internal emanation. Emanation means to flow out from a source without being separated. Just as heat, light, and rays flow naturally from the sun, the divine feminine flowed from the source. Now let's talk about who these divine feminine emanations were. They were the first to move. See, before angels, before man, and before the Elohim, the Most High emanated 4 divine expressions of herself. She emanated Sophia. Sophia represents divine wisdom and light. She also emanated Ruach, the sacred spirit who's responsible for breath and heat. She also emanated Shekinah from herself. Shekinah represents divine presence, rays, indwelling glory. She also emanated Mat or Mayat, who represents universal law, balance, and order. See, these are not creations. They are eternal expressions of the source's own essence. They move together as the first forces of creation, forming the blueprint, the energy, and the presence, and the balance needed to build the universe. So let's talk about the roles of Sophia, Ruach, Shekinah, and Mat or Mayat, however you want to pronounce it. Sophia held the divine blueprint of life and creation. You can research that in Proverbs 8. Ruach hovered over the waters, vibrating and activating potential. You can find that in Genesis chapter 1, verse 2. Shekinah filled all things with divine presence and spiritual indwelling. And Mat or Mayat governed the laws of balance, justice, and timing. Through her feminine expressions, the source, the Most High, brought forth life, light, and law. These are not side characters. These are her hands, her voice, and her rhythm in motion. Now, let's talk about where the Elohim comes in. The Elohim are the cosmic builders. After the foundational blueprint in spirit was set, the source emanated the Elohim through herself, the divine beings of light and power. They are not gods, but divine functionaries who operate under the will of the Most High. They did not exist before the divine creation. They came afterward to assist in manifesting the physical layers of creation. So when Genesis 1:26 says, "Let us make man in our image," this was the Elohim speaking in divine counsel, carrying out the will and the divine of the source, using Sophia's wisdom, Ruach's breath, and Shekinah's presence. Now, let's talk about the 7 days of creation. Who did what and when? Day 1, the release of light. Genesis 1:3 says, "Let there be light." Sophia illuminated the blueprint of creation. This was spiritual light, awareness, understanding, and divine order. Day 2, the separation of the waters. Genesis chapter 1, verse 6 and 7 said, "Let there be a firmament." Ruach moved and divided the waters. Her breath set the frequency for the upper and lower worlds. Day 3, land and vegetation. In Genesis chapter 1, verses 9 through 13, states, "Let the dry land appear." Sophia structured the earth's form. Ruach activated the soil. Ma'at or Ma'at ensured natural cycles in order. Day 4, the celestial lights. Genesis 1, 14 through 19 states, "Let there be lights in the firmament." Sophia aligned the heavens with divine timing. Ma'at or Ma'at established the order of the seasons, the days, and the signs. Day 5, creatures of sea and sky. In Genesis 1, 20 through 23, "Let the waters bring forth living creatures." Ruach filled the creatures with breath and instinct. Shekinah began to indwell creation with divine spark. In day 6, land animals and humanity. In Genesis 1, 24 through 27, "Let us make man in our image, after our likeness." The Elohim enacted the creation of humanity using Sophia's design, the pattern of man. And I'm not talking about man, male and female. Ruach's breath is the life force. Shekinah's presence is the divine essence. And Ma'at or Ma'at's law gave balance in male and female energy. Day 7, completion and rest. In Genesis chapter 2, verse 2, "And on the seventh day, God," aka the Most High Source, "and her feminine energies rested." Ma'at or Ma'at governed this phase, establishing rest, reflection, and balance as sacred law. This is only episode 1. Follow for episode 2.